Hi, and welcome back. Veterans Onward to Prosperity. I'm your host, Master Sergeant Retired Anna Maria Bliven, and I am met by another Army veteran, Joe.
Go Army.
Oh, yeah, go Army. Ooh. Hey, Joe, can you tell our audience what you did in the Army and how long you've served?
Sure. So I was in for 11 years, active duty, and then went into the IRR. After that, it was a personnel and computer systems officer in there, and really enjoyed it and all. And but I was in, I guess you'd say, I was post-Vietnam and pre 9/11. That was my era there. So I was in the active duty during the first Gulf War, and a lot of it was mainly Cold War, which is fine with me. Nobody's shooting at me, but which was good. But then I had to do the transition thing too. So that was early 1992 is when I actually exited active duty and had to go look for a job in the civilian workforce.
Yeah, and how did that go?
It's full of challenges, right? And especially during that time, probably like this time, depending on how the economy's doing. I went back home and the economy wasn't doing all that well. Early days, they were letting off a lot of people. The big company here was IBM. And so I thought, well, I've got all these skills and I'll just go right to it, get my resume done and get a job in no time. But didn't quite work out that way, because the jobs, either some of the jobs that were offering me were not what I wanted to do, or others, that, oh, well, you're not qualified, or we don't know what exactly you did do in the military, but we want somebody with some more business experience, that kind of thing. So there is a transition, but I was fortunate to have some help with, from some of the resources out there, like the local, what they call it here, vocational employment reps at the Department of Labor, who were really, very helpful. And I ended up getting a job in career counseling for a not-for-profit, and that was really well.
And that was building more skill.
Yeah,
you're going
it was.
from computer technology
Right.
now to actually the skill for helping other people get into their employment and careers.
Exactly. And, veterans, like all military, bring a lot of skills to the table when they come. But a lot of it is like anything, when you do even a resume, the purpose of it is to get you an interview. And then, of course, the interview to get you the job. And it's really about marketing yourself. So you have to be able to take your skills. And, for example, nobody knew it. If I said, well, I'm a battalion S1, well, great. What does that do? They don't understand what those things are, or what exactly what skills you bring. And then there's, like anything else, stereotypes that exist, probably both positive and negative. And what you have to be able to do when you're looking for a job is, tell an employer what you can bring to the table, what you can bring to them. And that's where you have to sometimes be able to take those transferable skills, meaning they transfer to almost any occupation, and really highlight them to an employer so that they really want to go ahead and sit down and have a real interview with you and then offer you employment.
Right. So let's talk about this for a minute. Okay, so there was a struggle, just a little bit, for thinking, oh, hey, I got all these skills from the military experience. There shouldn't be any problem with me being able to get a job because I got all these skills, right?
Right.
But then they didn't have the welcome mat out.
No.
And you know what I got told? Yeah, great. You got those skills in the military, not over here on this side of the house.
Right.
So you basically have to start all over.
Yeah, and I don't like the time it was start over. You're starting something new, but starting over, like, we're not going to discount those skills now. And I agree with that. I've experienced similar things. People, sometimes there's negative types. Oh, you're going to come in here and try to run the show or give us orders. And, some employers, they have a negative image a lot now. And I think it's changed over the years that a lot are actually seeking, veterans. They like the fact that they bring, communication skills, know how to show up on time, those things to the table, some kind of soft skills, as we call it, to the table. They pretty much already have. And of course, as you get into it, there's a lot of incentives out there for employers that they can take advantage of too, if they're aware of them. So sometimes you
Right.
got to make them aware of some of these benefits that come by hiring a veteran. But absolutely, it's, there's some there. Oh yeah, well, that's great that you did all those wonderful things, and but they really don't care about how many medals you had on your pocket or anything like that. They're just, what are you going to do for me now, right?
Exactly. And now on the other side of this conversation, how are we going to be able to teach military, not just the Army, but all the branches of those folks that have to know how to use the language when they're talking with a civilian employer? So, for example, I was an S1.
Right.
Well, a civilian employer isn't going to know what S1 is. But if you say, hey, I was a human resources supervisor, now they can have a reference point by which we can converse.
Right. And that's so key. And that's what I had to do too. They, like you say, some of the terminology, ops officer, battalion S1, S2, they don't know what that is. And so what you have to do is, and you can do that. There's actually, I remember when I transitioned a DOD resource where you can look that up. Okay, I'm no longer a battalion S1. I'm a human resource manager, right? Or I'm a computer specialist in this field and that, and so they certainly don't care, well, 71 Lima or whatever, 42 Al, it matters not, those
Right,
MOSs. But when you look at what's involved in those particular occupational specialties, you can pull out of there those things that an employer would want. And there's, with some help and research, you can actually then, find civilian jobs that are almost identical in many ways, right? So
right. But it's the conversing or the communication and the messaging that has to
absolutely.
happen so
Right.
that so that potential employer realizes what it is you are bringing to his table or her table and wants to converse over it and like do a job interview that
Right.
eventually leads to a job offer. Well, we have to break away, but after we come back, we're going to continue this conversation.